Hello everyone! So today's topic is all about communication for various purposes. After this discussion, you will learn how to convey ideas through oral, audiovisual, and/or web-based presentation for different target audiences in local and global settings using appropriate registers. Second, create clear, coherent, and effective communication materials. Third, present ideas persuasively using appropriate language registers, tone, facial expression, and gestures. Lastly, adopt awareness of audience and context in presenting ideas. So the content of our topic will be communication, types of speech communication, types of speeches and public speaking, and lastly, types of speech delivery. Before we start, I want you to listen and eyes on the presentation. These are the reporters of Group 6, Olivas, Orola, Potato, and Paglinawan. I am Daisy Marie F. Orola and I will be discussing about what is communication. This is the exchange of information or passing of information, ideas, or thought from one person to another, from one end to the other. According to McFarland, communication is the process of meaningful interaction among human beings. More specifically, it is the process by which meanings are perceived and understandings are reached among human beings. Newman and Jomer defined communication as an exchange of facts, ideas, opinions, and emotions by two or more persons. Communication is the process of passing information from one person to another. The purpose of communication understands of information. Whatever one wants to say to someone should be clearly understood by him, else the very purpose of the communication would be defeated. In an organization, communication facilitates the flow of information and understanding between different people and departments through different media using all the channels and networks. This flow of information is vital for managerial effectiveness and decision-making in general and for human resource manager in particular, as he has to be in contact with the managers of various departments, employees, and workers, and trade union leaders. Communication thus helps understand people better, removing misunderstanding and creating clarity of thoughts and expression. It also educates people. The communication may be written or oral, formal, informal, and upward, downward, horizontal, diagonal, interpersonal, intrapersonal, interdepartmental, and intra-organizational. The communication brings people together, closer to each other. It is an important management function closely associated with all other managerial functions and bridges the gap between individuals and groups through flow of information and understanding between them. Information is the most vital aspect of communication. It is the information which is transmitted, studied, analyzed, and interpreted, and stored. The manager therefore has to spare time to collect, analyze, and store the information for decision-making and routine day-to-day business.
Hi everybody, I'm G.Bhe Sobron Potato and I will be discussing about the types of speech communication. Informative communication. Informative speaking generally centers on talking about people, events, processes, places, or things. Informing an audience about one of the subjects without being persuasive is often a difficult task to complete. For example, a speech informing an audience about growing peace lilies as houseplants might ultimately persuade the audience to buy and grow peace lilies. All speech has an effect that might enable individuals to self-persuade themselves. The line walk during an informative speech, as opposed to a persuasive speech, is to not make persuasion an explicit and obvious goal. An informative speech on peace lilies might cover both the advantages and disadvantages of these houseplants. A persuasive speech would take a firm position on the virtues of peace lilies. Examples of informative communication are informative speeches, presentation, reports, informative essays, and visual aids. Persuasive communication. Persuasive communication is any message that is intended to shape, reinforce, or change the responses of another or others. Such responses are modified by symbolic transactions which are sometimes, but not always, linked with coercive force and which appeal to the reason and emotion of the target. Generally, persuasion refers to such communicative activities that are mediated. Examples of persuasive communication are persuasive message and research and business proposals. Argumentative communication. Argumentation is a social process. Having an argument involves two or more individuals responding to one another's claim in support for such a claim. Argument is not simply restating the same claims and reasons. Rather, it is supporting, modifying, or defending positions accordingly. As a process, arguments unfold based on the contributions of the dialogue participants. Argumentation aims to gain adherence from an audience. People argue to gain assent from their positions. The world is filled with ambiguous situations that arguments attempts to render more certain. Argumentation is a listener and audience-oriented activity, even if the audience is just one person. Ultimately, one wishes to persuade the audience to act on the advanced claim, whether it is to encourage action or gain support. Examples of argumentative communication are argumentative speeches, debate, and court hearings.
Good day everyone, I am Jhon Mel Paglinawan of BS Ed Science 1B, and now I will continue our report in Chapter 6, which is the type of speeches and public speaking. Different types of speeches according to purpose. The four basic types of speech according to purpose are to inform, to instruct, to entertain, and to persuade. These are not mutually exclusive of one another. You may have several purposes in mind when giving your presentation. However, the principal purpose of a speech will generally fall into one of the four basic types. The first type of speech is informative. Informative speech serves to provide interesting and useful information to your audience. Some examples of informative speeches are a teacher telling students about earthquakes, a student talking about her research. Next is a travelogue about the Tower of London. And lastly, a computer programmer speaking about new software. The second type of speech is demonstrative. Demonstrative speech has many similarities with an informative speech. A demonstrative speech also teaches you something. The main difference lies in including a demonstration on how to do the thing you're teaching. Some examples of demonstrative speeches are how to start your own blog, how to bake a cake, and how to write a speech. The third type of speech is persuasive. Persuasive speech works to convince people to change in some ways, on how they think, the way they do something, or to start doing something that they are not currently doing. Some examples of persuasive speeches are: become an organ donor, improve your health through better eating, television violence is negative influencing the children, and become a volunteer and change the world. The last type of speech according to purpose is entertaining. The after-dinner speech is a typical example of an entertaining speech. The speaker provides pleasure and enjoyment that makes the audiences laugh or identify with anecdotal information. Some examples of entertaining speeches are: speeches in a wedding given by a maid of honor or best man, and explaining cricket to an American.
Hello everyone, my name is Jomer Olivas. I'm here to present to you my topic about the different types of speech delivery. There are 4 types of speech delivery. These are read, memorize, impromptu, and extemporaneous. The first types of speech delivery is read. In this case, the speech is written in the manuscript and the speaker reads the manuscript word for word to the audience. Like for example, in this clip, this is the clip of Rihanna during his speech in Harvard's University, which she used read to deliver her speech.
So I made it to Harvard. Never thought I'd be able to say that in my life, but it feels good. Thank you, Dr. Counter. Thank you to the Harvard Foundation, and thank you, Harvard University, for this great honor.
Notice how she glances at her manuscript before delivering a speech. That's an example of read because the speaker is reading on his or her manuscript in order to deliver his or her speech to her audience. The next type of speech delivery is memorize. Memorize style of speaking is when the manuscript is committed to the memory and recited to the audience verbally. In short, you are delivering your speech without looking at any script, delivering your speech based on your recollection of the manuscript. An example of this is the elocution contest of Aliyah Serao on 2017 by Bandra Zonals for the Peace third place winner.
Third place winner by Betty Young. To appreciate the full significance of this true story, one must recognize that Chris has Down syndrome and is born differently abled.
Notice how she delivered her speech without any manuscript. That's an example of memorize because in this type of speech delivery, you are committing the manuscript in your memory. That's why you will be able to deliver your speech without any manuscript. The third type of speech delivery is impromptu. Generally, it is a speech that is created without any given preparation. Theoretically, an impromptu speech is made up on the spot. It is unprepared and unrehearsed. In short, we can say that an impromptu is a type of speech delivery where you deliver a speech without giving prior preparation in order to prepare your speech on the given topic. For example of this is an interview by Fox to President Obama about the Obamacare.
There was an expectation that was shared among many of your staff, many congressional Democrats, that as the Affordable Care Act rolled out, as it delivered benefits to millions of people, that it would become more popular. It would be safe from repeal or even substantial reform. And it appears at this point that doesn't seem to be quite true. What do you think that theory got wrong? Why didn't the healthcare law become more popular?
Well, let's back up and say from the start, there's a reason why for 100 years no president could get expansion of healthcare coverage beyond the work that had been done for Medicare and Medicaid, targeting primarily seniors. And the reason was that this is hard. The healthcare system is big. It is very personal. Families, I think, recognize the need for health insurance, but it's not something that they think about except when things go wrong.
Where the host, in this case Vox, gives President Obama a topic without preparation, which then President Obama answered that question in an impromptu manner where he didn't have any preparation to prepare about the topic. The fourth or the last type of speech delivery is extemporaneous speech delivery. Typically, it's the type of speech where you memorize the given topic, then the questioner will select a topic from that topic, and it's your job to reiterate them and explain it to your audience. Typically, it's sandwiched between memorized and impromptu speech delivery style. One example of extemporaneous speech delivery is speech delivered by Jhon Mel El Castillo of Quezon City Science High School. He's one of the finalists during that time on the extemporaneous speech contest of the first inter-school English language communication tournament.
What historical time period would you most like to visit and why? What historical time period would you most like to visit and why? Contestant number 3, go.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. World War II was a time of great heroes and great inventions and great people. Winston Churchill was there, a grand speaker, and Robert Oppenheimer, a man who helped develop the atom bomb. And it was a time of great events. World War II happened then. Many a hero was born at that time, and also many a great hero died. Obviously, the period I'd most like to visit is the 1940s, time of the World War II. Because I would like to be one of those heroes. I would like to be one of those great men. I would like to be Robert Oppenheimer of that time. I would like to be the one who invented a weapon of mass.
Notice how he delivers speech. He didn't have any manuscript while the host picked a topic to ask him, and he answered it without any prior preparation.
And that ends our discussion about communication for various purposes in GE106 Purposive Communication. Once again, these are the reporters of Group 6, Olivas, Orola, Potato, and Paglinawan. Thank you for watching. Keep safe and God bless.